What's up? Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you're all having a good week. Yeah, I'm having a hard time, if I'm being honest. I can't believe it's first part of September already, and I feel like I don't know if I'm coming or going. You guys forgive me. I'm doing the whole. Make sure you guys share this out. Let's get some of you on here. We got good conversation today because I got a special guest that we're going to bring on here in just a second. I'm excited to bring this cat on. So IG, I see you over there. Racking, appreciate you, brother, jumping on. All right, let's get started. It's Friday, and it is super early in other parts of the country, and that just happens to be where our guest is coming in from today. He is a Marine Corps veteran. I've had the privilege of knowing this young man now for couple of years. I was on his show. God, it might have been 2 years ago already. When I was down in Arizona visiting. So without further ado, my buddy Josh, aka Mr. JMach, host of the JMach Podcast. What is up, man? How are you?
Hey, Rise and Shine is Heroes Media Group time. Okay. It's 6:02. I'm wide awake. The girls slept great. And I'm ready to make history on your show today. And it's been an honor to know you as well.
I love you, brother. I love you, man. You've done some incredible things, and I've had the privilege of watching you grow your show over the last couple of years. And you're down there in Arizona, my old stomping ground, not far from where I used to live. And I got the opportunity to link up with you and be on your show a while ago. And why don't we dive into that a little before we get into the show, though? Who's Josh? Let's let the viewers and the listeners get to know who you are just a little bit more.
Excuse me. Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Josh. I also go by JMach, host of the JMach Podcast. I grew up in a small country town, 45 minutes south of Chicago in Illinois. But whatever you picture Chicago, throw that out the window. My traffic jam was a tractor driving down the highway. My dad is now a retired sheriff. And I grew up volunteering with him through our community, and I really enjoyed and loved that aspect. So now that I've matured and became a dad and an adult myself, I have started organizations that can mimic the volunteering and the work that we used to do for our community, and it's my version of giving back.
Okay, so you grew up, you're a Midwesterner, which is why I think one of the reasons why we get along so well, me being from Wisconsin originally. You get that small town atmosphere, right? Oh, yeah, I get it. Where it's, and we just lost him for some reason, folks. The audio went out. I'm not sure what happened.
That's a cheesehead mistake. If I
right. Here we go. But we grew up in that small town, feel atmosphere where everybody was. It was very much help your neighbor. As opposed to what I feel like, had you grown up in bigger cities, it's not always the case. And I mean, how long have you lived in Arizona now?
Since 2017.
And then you're not in a small area of Arizona. I mean, you're outside of Phoenix in one of the suburbs, and you're in the Phoenix metro area. That's what we used to call it. Because I used to live out in Avondale. You're out where in Goodyear, Glendale area. Surprise. So I mean, that's very much part of the Phoenix. I mean, you can drive from downtown Phoenix to Surprise, and there's no country. It's all housing and streets and everything in between. So,
and then Arizona's version of country isn't much country to me.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that too, because it's like, I lived in Tucson for a little while, and in the early 90s there was still desert, or what we would consider the countryside, but it was all desert. And I look at like northern Arizona, I would say probably Camp Verde, Prescott area north. You see a lot more of that country countryside. It's just a different version of it because you're in the mountains.
Yeah.
on it, or you get into the high country, like up toward the canyon and Tucson and Williams, and which is beautiful country, up there. But it's just a different beauty, I guess, is what I would say.
Yeah, it's
As
definitely
a
a different way of life. Like I never recognized or understood what the difference when they said it's a fast pace or a slow pace style of life. Until I was stationed in California and like the weather spoiled me. That's why I ended up in Arizona. I didn't want to move home and shovel snow.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, it's more of a fast pace out here, right? If you go back home to the Midwest, everything closes at like 8, 9, 10 p.m.
yeah,
And then some things aren't even open on Sundays.
right.
Out here, you have things to do till like 3 or 4.
Every single day, like and in the valley. Malachias, what's up, brother? Doc's got a new single out. Doc, put it in the comments below. We'll get to that here in a bit. But going back to what you said, JMach, is like, in Arizona, there was stuff to do in the valley every single night of the week. Whether it was you go down to Tempe, go over to Scottsdale, Mesa, what every single night there's something to do somewhere in the valley. You may have to travel to it, but there was something to do, as opposed to like you said, like our everything closes up in the Midwest. Is like, all right, 10 o'clock, last call. You're like, last call? What are we talking about? It's only 10 o'clock. It was like, no, there's like stuff closes, and a lot of things are not open on Sunday. I joke around because when I do go back to Wisconsin to to see family and travel, sometimes when I work up there, I will always complain about the internet, because even though it's like fiber optic in some of the places, it still feels like dial up compared to what you get in some of the like the bigger cities. So like the fast paced lifestyle, I've always felt like going home up there was like kind of stepping into a time machine and going back into time maybe 4 or 5 years, because sometimes they haven't necessarily caught up with how the fast paced lifestyle that we got used to.
Absolutely. And I don't know which is better. I claim to miss that slow lifestyle where I want to go back to the country and have that slow pace of life. But
Yeah.
then I get that itch when I'm bored. And like, if I have nothing to do, I'm going to go crazy out there. A lot of things close by the time you start going. Well, not anymore. I'm not that kind of person. I'm a dad now. So I'm in bed by like 8, 9 o'clock if the kids will let me. But like before, after I moved away, I wasn't even going out till like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night when
Right.
everything closed back home.
Right. Yeah, that's it. That's so funny. What do we got here? Malachi says, "I sucks. I was raised in the Midwest. Everything was popping to like 3 a.m. 7 days a week." I don't know where in the Midwest, Doc, you were raised, but
Yeah,
that's
he must
like,
have been like downtown Chicago or something.
yeah, that's not in our neck of the woods, like literally neck of the woods. Everything was small. I mean, I think the biggest city closest biggest city, like big city, was like Minneapolis, and that was like an hour and a half away. And now it's like, even as I've gotten older, I've appreciated more of the slower lifestyle. Um, but very much, I own several businesses, so I live a very fast paced life. But at the same time, you appreciate that time when you do like get to, I'm an outdoors guy, so I like to hunt, fish, like that time going out in the woods or something like that has been good. Doc said Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's kind of a big town,
Mhm.
right? I would
I
think.
believe so. I believe
Yeah.
so.
And we
Or
got
it's close to Indianapolis.
yeah. Wow.
I mean, our random farm field parties were popping till 2, 3 in the morning, but no licensed business was open that late.
Junaid, what's up, brother? Looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Malachi is 600,000. That's a big town, man. That's like, my town was 800 people
Yeah, I
growing up.
graduated with 80 kids.
Yes, it's like we're very like cue the banjo, but then it's like that really small town feel. Uh, Josh, talk about let's transition a little bit. Talk about your show. What got you started into podcasting, and what's the JMach show really all about?
So a buddy posted a meme, and me going to therapy is literally how my podcast started. Uh, it was shortly. It was like shortly after I got out of the Marine Corps and I separated my shoulder, had surgery, and I got tagged in the 22 a day push-up challenge again. Well, I was embarrassed, ashamed, way too out of shape to even attempt to do 22 push-ups for one day,
Yeah.
let alone for 22 days. And at the same time, I got tagged. One of my buddies posted a meme that said, "Stop doing the push ups, pick up the phone, and call your buddy." And I was like, "Oh, that's a great idea." And so then out of that, the idea to start my podcast, the JMach Podcast, started, where I combat veteran and first responder suicide, one story, one conversation at a time. I actually went into my therapist office and I told her that I had this idea and I pitched it to someone else. And due to liability reasons, he wasn't interested. And so she tried to convince me to go live in her office. Telling all my friends and families that I was about to start this. And I was like, well, now you're the crazy one. Let's switch chairs. And, but I went home and I made a video like I promised and I posted it. And that is how the JMach podcast started.
That's cool, man. And how long have you been doing that now?
It'll be 5 years this Veterans Day. And I want to say it was 110% complete trash when I first started. Uh, but the important part of that is the best thing you could do when you want to do something is just start and then make it good. Make it exist, then make it good. And that's what I've did and have been doing over the past 5 years. I
Yeah.
started off where it was only virtual and audio only because I was too afraid to be on camera. I didn't want to be seen, all of that stuff. And then I've just finally developed and have continued to grow where not only is it video, but now I'm going out to events. I'm hosting my own events.
Yeah, and you come like night and day uh difference from when I first met you. Like now it's like, oh, you're doing some video stuff, and now it's like it seems like every time I turn on social media to do something or whatnot, it's there's Josh right there, right in your face with another video. And I love your energy. I love your passion. I think what you're doing is great. And I'm not saying, I'm not just saying this because you know me offline pretty well. So I think it's great what you're doing. It's been fun to watch you grow. Let's talk a little bit about you got an event that you started creating down in Arizona called the SandBox. What is that?
Yeah, so where did all your trauma start as a kid from in the sandbox? Then I felt like as a Marine, I failed because I never went to the sandbox before I got out. So I struggled with being prideful and being proud of being a veteran or a Marine veteran when I felt like I failed my mission because I chose to get out before I got to go overseas. I've recognized that my calling to join the Marine Corps wasn't to fight the war overseas, but to fight the war we face once we get back home. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So at the Sandbox, it's a networking event for first responders and veterans with mental health resources. And I record a podcast in that time so everyone that's there can hear the real, raw, and vulnerable conversations that need to be had to help us combat the veteran suicide rate.
When did you start this?
May of this year.
Of this year.
Of this year. Yes, sir. I've hosted other events similar to this, but I haven't had the success that I'm having with the sandbox.
What makes it so different, do you think?
The main thing is me and how I'm representing it and how I'm no longer afraid to post about what I'm doing on social media and things like that. As well as before, I was partnered up with the dispensary. So we were using dispensary grounds. And I
Mm,
think the whole stigma of smoking and cannabis potentially turned a lot of people away. Now, in this setting, it's more of an intimate setting where there is no substances there, whether
right.
that's alcohol or cannabis. So I feel like that's really helping people come out and they don't have to worry about any other stigma.
Do you do it at the same place every time?
So far, I have, yes, sir.
Where do you guys do it at?
It's at the Marley Park Heritage Club in Surprise, Arizona. It's in my community center. Uh, The next one will be Thursday, the 25th of September. It's the fourth Thursday of every month.
Okay.
October, November, and December is going to look a little bit different due to Halloween. Our community does a big Halloween event, so I will not be able to use that location for October.
Right.
And then November is Thanksgiving, and December is Christmas. But
Christmas.
December, I'll be at the Patriot All America at the Wigwam Golf Resort. I apologize.
No, you're good.
Where I will be hosting the SandBox out there, as well as 2 live podcasts a day during that event.
Yeah, and that's if you those of you that are in Arizona, we got some of you that will see this or that watch this later on during the weekend. If you haven't been out to the Wigwam, one of my favorite courses that they got out there, I absolutely love the Wigwam. It's a great venue out there. Josh, what started this? Did you just wake up and say, "Hey, I want to start the SandBox"?
It's because I have no friends in real life, and I just want everyone to get together.
Yeah.
I've been sitting on this thought, like, what led me to do this? Because if you would ask me at any time within the last 5 to 10 years, I would tell you you're crazy. I
Yeah.
would never be doing this. I believe it's because how I said I started volunteering and doing things with my father growing up, and I just love that aspect of life. So now that's what I want to do. And this is my version of doing that, where I get to host events where we'll eventually start doing things for our community that will all be led by veterans or first responders, but for our community. So that way we're helping rebuild and regrow as one unit instead of keeping us so divided.
I love that. That's such a good thing, and obviously here at Heroes Media Group, that's something that we kind of pride ourselves on is community heroes, working with our community heroes and bringing everybody together. So, Josh, I think it's amazing what you're doing, brother, and
Thank you.
it's awesome. What else do you want people to know, or if somebody wants to reach out to you and get in touch with you, be a part of it, and we got you because you got some cool we've got some fellow people that we know down there working with you, like Ron and Helen from Warfighter Ranch, longtime friends of mine down there, and great people down there. But how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can find me on all social media platforms, searching JMach, JMach Podcast. You'll find me, or jmachpodcast.org is my website.
I love it. And we're going to put that, we'll have that in the comment sections and stuff here in a little bit. You can also find him on Heroes Media Group. It's got all of his content. You go to the Heroes Media Group page, hit on you find his podcast there. Just click on that and it'll take you right to his stuff as well. Josh, this is September. I can't believe it's September already. And it's September.
Dude, August flew by.
Yeah, it was a blink and it was gone already. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I can't wait for winter. So come on, keep going.
It's been a hot summer,
Yes,
which tells me which usually means it's going to be a really cold winter.
I'm here for it.
I don't know how, well, you're in Arizona. Your cold is like, oh, it's 80 degrees. Let's break out the winter clothing.
Hey, I'll still be in a sweatshirt, okay? It's chilly out here.
What do we got here? Mr. Gene Camp. Good morning, brother. How are you? Appreciate you jumping on. But September is one of those months where they talk about it. September is known as Suicide Prevention Month, and this is a big month, and this is a reminder. I think we need to be checking on your battle buddies. And we should be doing this anyway. This isn't the fact that they're bringing this. It's Awareness Month, and I saw a statistic that was like the first 6 months of 2025. There was like some 6-figure number of suicides this year already in the first 6 months of 2025, and like the majority of more than 50% of them, it was like 60-70% of them were male. Don't quote me on the percentage, but it was like mostly male, and it makes you wonder, like, why is that really the case, and why I don't know why does it happen? It doesn't have to happen. Makes you kind of sad when you think about it, really.
Yeah,
because
but as men specifically, I can't really speak for women too much, but men, we're told to suck it up. don't have feelings, you can't cry, you can't be emotional. And I went through an experience with my wife and sister-in-law where she had a medical emergency in the car. My wife had to jump back there and like keep her conscious, from just reminding her that it's okay, right? And um, I got them to the hospital in record time. Took care of my kids, dropped them off, went back to the hospital. And but on my way back to the hospital, I started to break down and I was super confused and I didn't understand why I was feeling so emotional. So I called around to a couple of buddies, and the best response that I got was it was the man in the arena analogy, where all eyes are on you when you're in the arena. And then once you get into the tunnels, then you're allowed to decompress and feel the emotions that everybody was feeling that whole time. But
Yeah.
in the moment, you have to be the man. You have to step up and make things happen to keep people safe. I feel like we don't know how to go back into that tunnel. We were never taught that, right? Like I remember being told, men don't cry, stop being such a baby, suck it up, let's go. And that's just ingrained in us, right? So
Mhm.
now that we're adults and we're realizing like that's not how it has to be, we get super confused because we've never had the leadership or the guidance or the maturity around us to let us know that, hey, you're allowed to cry. There's just different times as a man that you're allowed to cry. Like, yeah, maybe sometimes you do have to break down in front of your family with your family, right? But most of the times you have to stay strong so you can guide your family through whatever the situation may be.
Yeah.
But when you get into that tunnel, when you get into your private spot, when you're in the shower, you need to let it out yourself, or else you're just going to hold it all in, keep packing it up until you explode. And most of the times when I exploded, it was a straw that broke my back. It was a stupid email from my former boss at that time that made me like lose control and I couldn't stop my emotions. So I had to check myself in.
It we got a comment here from Gene. I'm gonna bring it up here. From Blue. You know, it's one of those things where I like the analogy in the arena, and then as you're coming out of the arena, you know, you as men, and I agree with you because like our background, you know, growing up, suck it up. You ain't got time to show no emotions, you know. And then when you don't show emotions, and then when something goes wrong, or you end up flipping your lid, or something like that, you're like, why are you acting this way, or something. And then it feel like there's a snowball effect eventually that happens where anything you do is not going to be right, you know,
For
because
sure.
you don't address it. You just harness it. I remember I used to use the analogies like I just take everything and I would just put it in that little back room in the back of my head, and try to close the door, and eventually that door you can't keep closed always, and it when that door opens, you don't want to be around, you know. And it was, you know, I in my this early 20s, I had anger issues and stuff like that, and it was just because I was just frustrated with stuff, and I didn't have answers, and it was like, you have to be this way, you have to be that way, and then the pressure of X, Y, and Z. So it was just like, all right, just harness it and
And then
deal with it
and then
later.
yeah, and then you join the military and the more anger and aggressive you are, you often excel,
Yeah.
right? So
But that's one of those things I think was like, there's a lot of jobs there where you want that, but then when you're not running and gunning, or doing what it is that you're doing, and you have to come back, and it's kind of like, we'll call it quiet time for lack, you know, that's when like the demons come out, and you're just like, I need to be doing this, I need to be doing that, and you don't. So how do you decompress from that? And I think that's where a lot of this, I think, stems from, is we really need to get better at it. And I've talked to a couple of guys that are on different teams, and you know, that are still active duty, and you're starting to see some of that now in like some of the special operations communities that coming back, because it used to be a stigma where it was like, hey, if you came back and you said you had, if you were injured or you had PTSD or you had, you know, whatever the case may be, you weren't on a team anymore. They sent you down to a regular line unit or whatnot. And I'm hearing from my contacts that are still on active duty that's not the case necessarily anymore. And I think that's a good first step on it, and especially, being a business guy. I started thinking you've invested all this money into Josh to do X, Y, and Z. And if he tells you, hey, I'm feeling this way or whatnot, if you want to get him operational again, you ought to be willing to do whatever it takes to get him. It's like, all right, here's how you deal with it. Boom, boom, boom. And then he's operational again. So you're not losing out on a great asset there and somebody that you've invested in. It's just my opinion.
No, absolutely. And I don't understand why mental health isn't taught in boot camp, right? I do understand there's certain, I don't know how to word this properly, but like you need to be a certain way in the military to complete the mission. I completely understand that, right?
Right.
But I feel like there's different mental health tools and tricks that we could be taught or learn from an early stage. And like, why isn't it even being taught in schools to help us? I feel like it'll help us outperform our old version of ourselves because we're able to now process through whatever we had stored up,
Or maybe
or
recognize
most of our,
when something's happening, and then you can address it before it gets into a bigger issue or a bigger problem.
yeah, absolutely. And then truthfully, I feel like most of us are already fucked up before we even join the military. That's why we joined the military. And then our military traumas just compile onto whatever we already had going on with us.
Yeah.
So that by the time we get out, we're thinking, oh, it's the military's fault. The military did X, Y, and Z to us. But no, we're not even looking at the bigger picture. We're just looking at the most recent things we can blame for how
Right.
we're feeling or what we're going through, when we actually need to work deeper and go talk to our inner child and heal our inner child, and forgive our parents and our family members and whatever happened to us as a kid. We need to work through all that shit because
Yeah.
that's where our subconscious is at.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I had a guest on earlier this year on the Decision Hour and talked about that. And it's like, a lot of trauma issues for adults when it comes from, we'll use us both vets. We see our service side of it, but there's all, and you can address the service stuff, right? But then as you dig deeper, like, why am I still reoccurring X, Y, and Z? And a lot of it's because you're not digging deep enough. And there's a lot of there's childhood trauma that's involved in that too. And I found that to be very, very interesting. So, that being said, September Suicide Prevention Month, we should be checking in on our friends and our battle buddies every, real often, monthly, at least. Anyway, send a buddy to you. If you're watching this, some of you are on the live. It's still pretty early out in Arizona. It's just, Josh is there. I got some of you on some of the different platforms right now across the country. Appreciate you guys jumping on. Go and those of you that watch this later on throughout the weekend or later today or throughout the weekend, shoot a text. Just text your battle buddy and say, hey, you good? Just wanted to check on you, see how I'm here for you. And a lot of times you're not, there's people out there that you that you don't know. And I think just reassuring somebody that you're there for them. And if you need somebody to talk to and you think you don't have anybody, hell, send me a message, give me a call, shoot me a DM on any one of the social platforms. If you're watching this, leave a comment. Just say, hey, man, I need to talk to you. And I'll send you a DM and we'll get in touch and I'll give you a call. I don't have a problem with that. I'll talk to anybody. So,
Same.
Yeah.
And I just made my video about that yesterday. But the truth is, you could be reaching out and you're saying it's for them, but in reality, it's for you. You need it
Mm.
just as much as that next person does.
Yeah.
And if you're using that mentality, well, phones work both ways. Dude, you're part of the problem as well. You're
Yeah.
right, phones do work both ways. But sometimes it's nice to hear for you to reach out to the person you haven't talked to in years. Like it could be somebody you talked to yesterday. You just never asked them how they're doing.
Yeah.
Just make sure you're reaching out. Be that person that you need as well.
I love it. I love it. Josh, let's do a little bit of a shift here. Let's dive into some news topics that I have that I picked out. These are random news topics. And then after them, I want to talk about a couple events that are coming up. And then I started the hero stories, and I've got 2 this week that I want to share with you guys. So let's go into the first one here. Coast Guard. I don't know if you've heard this. Coast Guard or Coasties launched service-wide PT tests for all members next year. I had no idea that they did not do this. To explain why they recruiting was so high last couple of years. The Coast Guard is ending years of debate over whether it should require all members to take a physical fitness test. So, announcing this last Tuesday, they're implementing mandatory PT tests for all personnel starting next year. I think that's good. I didn't know that. I did not. Had I known that, maybe I would have made a different decision. No, I wouldn't have. Let's be honest. No.
So the retention rate's high.
But yeah.
Yeah, I never knew that. I always assumed that every branch had their own mandatory PT test twice a year.
Well, and it's in the article it said will require all members, and to me, I hear that, and it makes me think that only certain people. I assume probably like rescue divers probably had certain jobs in the Coast Guard. I don't know what goes. I know rescue divers and helicopter pilots.
Yeah.
That's and then the captain that drives the ship, whatever. That's about the gist of what I know about the Coast Guard. Coast Guard, those of you out there, if you got any coasties, leave a comment. I want to know what you guys' thoughts are on that. Big one coming out of the Pentagon this week. The Pentagon to begin drug testing for troops on magic mushrooms, the psychedelic mushrooms. So we weren't testing for this stuff before then, is that, I guess. Pentagon is set to initiate testing for psilocin, the hallucinogenic substance present in psychedelic mushrooms among service members starting October 1 of this year. Like, they're pushing this pretty quickly.
That must mean that a lot of people have been getting busted with mushrooms.
There's a joke in here somewhere, I'm sure. There's probably several of them.
I find it very interesting that they're now going to start testing for that when now psilocybin has been starting to show positive impacts on veterans' mental health. And there's a huge push for the psychedelic therapies. And now they're going to test for it. Is there a relation? I have no idea.
Yeah, well,
it's interesting.
One could argue, like, oh, that's just, coincidence. Not a big. But here's the thing, should you be on psychedelics while you're at work or anything like that? Probably not. Probably not a good thing to be on. So I get that side of it. I think from a veteran standpoint, like if you're holding your DD-214, and you want to do mushrooms and whatnot, because there has been a very, very positive outcome of these treatments. God bless you. Go do it. So, can I see the pros and cons to this? Yeah, yeah, I guess I can. Should you be in uniform and tripping? Probably not.
No, I believe
probably not.
I'm going to say no, 100% right, because you signed up and you agreed to be sober,
right,
and to not take any substances. I believe there's a time and place where, like, if they got to go to therapy and that was something that was offered,
right.
But the guys I know that was doing it, they were doing it for fun, and it was because it didn't show up on the drug test.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's a key thing right there, or maybe something happened. God, hopefully not. But I just thought it was interesting, nonetheless, that they're doing a big push for that right now.
Yeah.
Let me see here. All right, so the last one that I have for the news. You guys have heard me talk about this before. Towns are shutting down data centers. How much water does it take to run these data centers? Right. Okay. Yep. I'm not getting into my conspiracy theory, really, but there's a town up in Michigan that shut down. There was a company that wanted to come in and build a data center. They shut it down. Data centers consume massive amounts of water. Companies the companies rarely tell the public exactly how much water is used. Now, you remember a couple of weeks ago I mentioned, like, water is going to be like the new gold, right? Well, the U.S. data centers consumed 17 billion gallons or 64 billion liters of water directly through cooling, and projects that by 2028, they're predicting those figures could double or even quadruple. So what does this mean for like your local? Why am I bringing this up? This is stuff that you guys need to pay attention to, because if these data centers, they consume a lot of water, that eventually could mean, hey, you can't water your plants anymore, or you need to only wash your clothes on Tuesdays and Fridays or whatever. Like, people are like, oh, Adam, you're being, no, don't take my word for it. This is stuff that you can look up. Okay. So in 2024, a report from the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory estimated that in 2023, U.S. data centers consumed 17 billion gallons of water directly through cooling these centers, right? And projects by 2028 could double or even quadruple. The same report estimated that in 2023, U.S. data centers consumed an additional 211 billion gallons of water indirectly through the electricity that powers them. That's enormous. That could shut down cities, right? And you look at, well, so why am I bring this up? Vegas, Arizona's putting in a big data center, down there. Actually, not far from you. I don't know. Was it north? I think it's north, like up near Anthem, I think.
Yeah, it's a 303 and like 17.
Yeah. So like, and help me make this make sense. You're putting in these data centers in the desert where it's super effing hot, and you need water to cool them down. All right, listen. I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. However, I'm thinking, if you need a bunch of water to cool these data centers, why are you putting them in the desert?
Money, money, money.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, with that being said, it is roughly like less than 30 minutes away from Lake Pleasant. So they have a huge water source right there. But I also have heard that in Arizona, up until like the last year or two, like we'll say Saudi Arabia had land deals that included water rights.
Right.
And they were just
90% of the
watering
water.
their fields like crazy.
So that was out in Yuma, out near just not far from Marine Corps Air Station, Yuma, and the Army Proving Grounds out there. They had, I forget how many acres it was, but it used 90% of Arizona's water for these alfalfa fields. So Saudi Arabia had an alfalfa farm out there, and they would grow the alfalfa out there, use the Arizona water, and then they would ship the alfalfa back to Saudi Arabia because it was cheaper. But the Arizona people, you, Josh, were paying the taxes on that.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah. But, and even Lake Pleasant, like I know, that lake up there, and there's some other lakes around, look at the water. The water up there has, in those lakes, have gone down so much over the last 20 years. I mean, I remember I lived in, it was the late 1990s up in Flagstaff. There was a lower Lake Mary and upper Lake Mary. There was a dam that you could walk across. I could lay on that dam and stick my arm in the water, and the water would be up to my elbow. Within 4 or 5 years later, you could walk up to the dam and go back to the dam, and the water was like 30 yards out, because that's how much water had been lost. It's just the droughts and stuff like that. It just doesn't make sense to do this. Gene, what do we have here? What are you supposed to do on smaller formats? So why does it go against texture? That's a really good question. What are we going to do with these big data centers? I don't. So fun story, true story. Out here in Pennsylvania, I'm out in Pennsylvania. I'm not far from 3 Mile Island, which is where the big nuclear plant, had a big meltdown in 1979. And they shut that down, 4 years ago, and they're opening one of the burners back up, but it's not to produce electricity for the houses around here in Pennsylvania. It's to power one of the data centers for Microsoft. And we get to pay the taxes on that. So anyway, pay attention to these data centers. You're going to see more of them popping up, and just be aware of how much water they use and pay attention to what that means for your community. So that being said, what do we got coming up this month? I don't know, God, 40 minutes in already. I feel like we keep going. This month, hey, come check your boy out later this month, September 26th through the 28th. Empowered Podcasting event. It's going to be down in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm going to be sharing the stage, doing a workshop on creating a community, how to make a community purposeful and profitable. So I'm excited about getting this opportunity. That's going to be September 26th through the 28th. If you want to come down, I will. I'm going to try to multitask here. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. I just hit that, and that just screwed everything up. I'll put the link in after the show, guys. We already know. Military Creator Con. Mark this on your calendars for April 16th through the 18th of next year. We're already looking at 2026. Oh, I was able to do this. I'm posting this. A new website for Military Creator Con is now live. We want to see you guys there. And I spelled something wrong. Whatever. militarycreatorcon.com. Go check it out. I'm only human, Josh. I don't know what to say, but
well, supposedly that's a marketing tool that if you spell something wrong, it's more likely to get people to continue to read or be involved because they can spot your error, so they know that you're not perfect.
Well, if that's the case, man, you're about to read hieroglyphics, man. Then I'm going to purposely spell everything wrong.
Where's that at in April?
Great question. That's going to be in Arlington, Texas, just a suburb of Dallas, Texas. So okay. April 16th through the 18th. Heroes Media Group is going to have a booth there. We're going to be taking, and this is something I put out in the newsletter for our podcasters, but those of you that are viewing and whatnot, if you are a creator, meaning you don't have to be, whether you're a podcaster, I want to, whether you do woodworking, you create movies, you're an editor, or, you're an author, what have you, you create, and you're a veteran, you're a military spouse, active duty, could be a child of a veteran or a child of military active duty. You're a creator. Come in. This is going to be an awesome time. The next couple for those few days, you can sign up militarycreatorcon.com. Go check it out. All right. I got two hero stories that I want to share real quick. We started these hero stories, and this one I pulled off. This was Army football player Larry Pickett Jr. Him and his dad pulled a man from a burning car just before it exploded into flames. Larry Pickett Jr., he's the defensive player for the Black Knights, sprang into a life-saving action early Sunday, this past Sunday morning, in Fort Montgomery, New York, which is just south of West Point, about 5 miles. And him and his dad, they were coming, family were coming back from eating late, and saw this vehicle that had went kind of head first into a pole, and him and his dad busted out of the car and went to go check, pulled the guy out of the vehicle, and as they were pulling him away, just got to safety, the car burst into flames. So you want to talk about, like, Larry Pickett Jr., he, like I said, he's a defensive player for the Black Knights up there at West Point. He's a sophomore. He just started his sophomore year. So that's a great hero story, I think. The next one that we got one coming out of Greenlee, Colorado. All the way out of Greenlee, Colorado, we got Frank and Josh Villa. They're a father-son combo. Frank is now a retired firefighter of 30 years. Thank you, Frank. 30 years in Greenlee, 10 years Windsor, Colorado Department. And Josh is a current firefighter in Firestone, Colorado. And they are the founders of Outdoor Colorado. It's a nonprofit organization that focuses on getting kids and families outdoors with hunting trips and fishing trips. These two gentlemen are dedicated to serving their community any way that they can. I think this is awesome. This, firefighters, community heroes. This is what I'm talking about. These guys are doing and living that purpose and helping the community. So absolutely amazing stuff that Frank and Josh are doing out there in Colorado. So hats off to them. Thank you. All right, now we're going to dive in. We still got a couple minutes. We're going to hit the shows of what you missed this week on the shows. And without further ado, we're going to start with Mr. JMach here since we got him on. Josh, tell us what you got. What's the most recent show you did, and what do you got coming up with the JMach podcast?
Yeah, my most recent show that went live was Danny Hansen. She is a nurse. She was actually sponsoring the episode, so I got an IV during our episode to rehydrate me and all that. And I truly did feel the benefits from her and her company, Modwella. I just recorded 2 amazing episodes yesterday, and I'm actually super excited that like later this month I get to record with the mayor of Surprise in his office.
No way.
So I feel like that's going to be another great episode for the JMach podcast, and he's a veteran himself turned mayor, so that's super exciting. The 25th of September, I'll be hosting my SandBox, as we mentioned earlier. And for all the listeners and whoever else is on Heroes Media Group, if any of you are going to MIC in Atlanta this year, I'll be out there as well. So feel free to hit me up and let's link up and create some content or just get to know each other.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to put you in touch. Remind me offline because I got some people that are going to be out there as well. So we'll get you in touch with people that I'd like for you to. I think it'd be a good connection for you.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Awesome. JMach Podcast. Absolutely love it. Folks, don't forget, you can check out all the shows on HMG, simply going to heroesmediagroup.com. Josh, appreciate you, brother. We're going to keep this going here. David Gordon, what's up, brother? Appreciate you. He's out there in Arizona. Love it. We got 2 new shows coming up later this month, The Unbreakable Storm and Women of War. Both shows are hosted by retired Army officer. She's Lieutenant Colonel Olivia Nunn. Great gal. You guys are going to love these shows. I've worked with her on a different project. I'll let her talk about more when these get started, but they're happening later this fall, later this month, early next month. So check those out. Uncle Rob, what's going on? Everybody's in Arizona. Everybody's waking up right now. I'm loving this. Rob's not far from you, Josh. He's out there in the Surprise area.
Okay.
Yeah, good fella right there. Next up, we got She Bird the Vibe. I've been talking about this show for the last 2 months. First episode's launching next Friday. Stay tuned for that. Vet SOS podcast this week. They do several shows a week. This is one of those shows. They got a couple of different shows that they do. This one that I'm talking about, Sean Welsh, he's the founder of the Vet SOS podcast. He goes and talks with the VFW commander, Al Liphart. I think I said that. And the incoming commander-in-chief, Carol Whitmore, about their personal military transition experiences and then how the involving role of the veteran of foreign wars, or the VFW, and how that's going, and how to get more of the younger veterans into the VFW. So check it out. It's called the Vet SOS podcast. Double S podcast. You can find this show on YouTube. This week was a banger of a show. They had Brian Romans joins Gene from Label 22 recording. Plus, they cover some current events to spice some things up. But this was an awesome show. Brian's a great dude. Label 22 recording. If you haven't heard of them, they got a lot of great veteran artists on that label. So check it out. Double S podcast. Welcoming back from a hiatus, the Unapologetic Veterans podcast went live last night with Sergeant Major Mario Fields, Marine Corps. I can tell because it was just the way they wrote Sergeant Major, because that's, Marines make everything difficult. Sergeant Major Mario Fields was on the show. They do their lives on TikTok, and it doesn't disappoint. Check it out, Unapologetic Veterans podcast. Next up, our man Trevor from the Disgruntled PM. This week, he's talking with Trevor Houston, and they discuss the strategies for job searching, the importance of networking, and the evolving landscape of resumes. They emphasize the need for authenticity. It's a big word for me. Clearly, I didn't say it right. And the visibility in personal branding, particularly through platforms like podcasts, right? I think, JMach, I think you'd agree with us on that one. How podcasts have definitely spiced things up. What else we got? Cadets on the Gridiron. That's coming back now that the football season has started up there at West Point. So I'll be doing some interviews there. Stay tuned for that. The Strategic Veteran this week asked the question, what if things that you spent years running from turns out to be exactly where your freedom starts? Oof. This week, Andy Dittrich, he didn't deploy. He didn't stack up a bunch of ribbons or chase firefights. He did administrative work, learned about computers, partied under a bunch of neon lights in Southern Cal, and then walked away from the Marine Corps with no plan. From crashing on couches to building a solid IT career, he shares his story in his book, Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. Is a love letter to mistakes, sarcasms, and embracing every part of who you are. This is a pretty cool episode. Strategic Veteran. Check it out. What else we got? Also back from a hiatus, a hibernation. Absolutely love this. Shay Sparks, the Shay Sparks Show. This week's title, From Adjusting Spines to Adjusting Mics. Why every business should have a podcast, with her special guest, Dr. Jeremy Whites. Have you ever been waiting to start a side hustle and you're not sure that it's going to work out? Yeah, I've certainly been there myself a few times. Dr. Jeremy shares his inspirational journey from chiropractor to successful podcast entrepreneur. He shares his practical advice for anyone considering a major career shift, gives you some tips, trades, and what to do, what not to do. Take a listen to the Shay Sparks Show. I'm reading this off a teleprompter and I'm sitting here squinting and I'm like, I'm getting old, man. You know how much it like sucks to get old when your eyes start to go and you're just like, son of a, I'm gonna need readers, folks. Patriots Inside the Wire, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights. Patriots Inside the Wire and the Two-Step Tribe. Check them out every night, 4 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Arms Room Show is next up. This week they're discussing effective fitness for an armed citizen. Pay attention. Those of you that are shooters out there, like to go to the shooting range and whatnot, how do you get better? What type of fitness should you be in? This is a great episode. Check it out, the Arms Room Show. Next up, Misfit Nation Podcast, another show that does multiple episodes each week. This particular one, we're talking with the Tuesday crew with Jake and Steven. They welcome Dr. Albert Bramante, a triple threat in entertainment world with over 20 years experience in the veteran talent agent. Talks about how he gets veterans, countless actors land major roles. This was actually a pretty cool episode. What sets him apart is his PhD in psychology and certifications in hypnosis and NLP. They dive deep into mental health blocks that limit performers with self-doubt, imposter syndrome, or fear of success and self-sabotage. Pay attention. This was a great episode. Misfit Nation Podcast. What do you guys got here? Not get, very funny, Rob. Rob said I am old. Next up, we got your 6 at 6 with the People's Patriot Project. Every Sunday night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. This week, they sit down with Josh Rainey and Danny Stokes of Freedom Ops, a new nonprofit driven by a powerful mission to honor the fallen and support healing. Great episode. They got some, they also have some music artists that they do every week come on the show. Check it out Sunday night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Other Side of the Firewall is next. This week, Ryan and Shannon discuss the latest cybersecurity news, including ransomware attack in Nevada, and how the federal response to improve cybersecurity funding. After that, we got the MSEC podcast, Human Performance Resources by Champ. This is a team of scientists that specialize who utilize research to develop evidence-based resources to help service members and their families achieve a total fitness. MSEC podcast, Military Child Education Coalition. You guys already know what's coming. If you are active duty, a guard, reserve, or a veteran, and you have children that are still at home and in grade school, follow this nonprofit organization. They have a ton of great resources. Go check it out, militarychild.org. Last but not least for this week, Chasing Happiness with our buddy Ryan, who's also not far from you, JMach. He's out in the Surprise area. Chasing Happiness. Faith hits different when the bank account is empty. That's the title of this one this week. This is what it feels like to wait on God. When your bills are due, the storm won't lift, and your prayers feel like whispers into the silence. This is a raw, very, very raw episode where Ryan shares what Deuteronomy 8 taught him this week. Being financially strapped, faith stretched, and unsure of if anything's going to work out. What he talks about is what he's learned from God's delays provision, why the storm might be protecting you, not punishing you. And I think that's a big mindset thing that people need to pay attention to. And then how tithing, patience, and obedience can change you. So that's it. Again, check out all the shows, heroesmediagroup.com. Let me give a couple of shout outs to Forget Genetics, veteran-owned business. Forget Genetics, it's deer hunting season. Those of you that are getting ready to go grocery shopping out in the woods, this is the type of stuff that you want in the woods to help you with your grocery shopping. Love this stuff. Stuff's amazing. Jim Neary's Bait and Tackle. You'll find me down there this Sunday. They're doing their 9/11 fishing tournament, and we'll be going live Sunday morning down at the Ocotillo Reservoir in southern Pennsylvania over at Jim Neary's Bait and Tackle. Jim is a United States Marine Corps veteran, does great stuff over there as well. Warriors on the Water LTD, great nonprofit organization that Jim and his wife Gina run down there. Fin Tactical, great organization. Thank you. My Tax Fella, if you need bookkeeping, your taxes done. I've been working with this organization for the last 12 years. They handle all of our stuff. Great stuff. Go check them out. VA Claim Builder, the Freedom People, and of course, From the Farm. Check them out if you want to purchase good beef, like non-steroid, stuff, like really good beef, but you're not sure where to go. Go to From the Farm. Find a local farmer or rancher in your area. It's great stuff. If you're a rancher or farmer and you want to get your stuff on there, go to fromthefarm.com and reach out to AJ and he'll get in touch with you. And then last but not least, our sister company, HMG Beverage. We're back. We're roasting. So if you want some coffee, hit us up, leave a comment, let me know. And last but certainly not least, special thank you to my man, Josh, aka JMach. Thank you, brother, for coming on the show today. I know it was early for you, but I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us. And thank you for everything that you do down there in Arizona. It's been fun to watch you grow, and I'm honored to be a part of your life, brother.
My pleasure, Adam, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on here. The whole time until I talk, I don't cough. But no, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on here and for everything you've done for me these past few years and continue to be a supporter and brother of mine. And I truly appreciate you and everything you've done for me as well. So thank you.
Absolutely. Folks, don't forget to check on your battle buddies. Don't get the 45-degree syndrome this weekend. Get outside while the weather's nice. Shut the computers off. Get outside. Protect your mind. We'll be back here next week. In the meantime, God bless you. God bless America. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.